That's the downfall with Funko.
Will Funko financially recover from this?
Just sell off all my collectibles.
I think we called it the new Beanie Baby.
I've never really liked them.
Why people stop collecting Funko Pops.
Is Funko dying? That's been the big question and the main topic of discussion for Funko for the last few months. So today I'm going to be taking a deep dive into that question. I'm going to be taking a look at the good and the bad that Funko has and try my best to be completely unbiased throughout this video. And hopefully by the end of the video, based off of everything that I say, you will be able to create your own opinion on the matter for yourself. So yeah, let's take a deep dive into is Funko dying? So the first point that I have for this video is that Funko has a diverse selection. There's quite literally something for everyone. From anime to movies to shows to singers to athletes, there's quite literally a pop made of everything. And that makes it easy for your everyday person to go pick up one or two Funko Pops of things that they like. And that kind of is the main thing that I don't understand about when people compare Funko Pops to Beanie Babies. Beanie Babies were huge, don't get me wrong, but they ultimately failed because there wasn't diverse selection in Beanie Babies. There weren't these unique franchises in Beanie Babies. There were just animals. That's it. There are so many different franchises that work with Funko that I can see them living around for years to come. There's a big difference between Beanie Babies and just being animals and Funko with the thousands of franchises that they have collaborated with throughout the years. There is seriously such a huge selection of Funko Pops to pick from, which can be a good thing, but it's also a bad thing for Funko. The market is definitely oversaturated with Funko Pops. Funko overproduces time after time after time, and they continue to do it for everything that they release. And I think this goes back to the quarantine years in like 2020, 2021. Funko was at its peak. They were seeing peak sales. They were seeing the largest consumer base they've ever had. People were home and collecting was an easy hobby to pick up. They could just order Pops online and they'll be in their room and they can collect whatever they like. But Funko made a big mistake. They thought this peak was going to be there forever. When people started going back to work and people started going back to school and their normal every day-to-day lives, they stopped collecting and they stopped caring about Funko Pops because there was other things they can do now that their normal world is back to the way it was before. And that caused Funko to plummet pretty poorly. When they saw a huge dip in the people buying Funko Pops after quarantine, they had all these overproduced items that they were making so much of to meet the needs of the consumer base they had during quarantine, and ultimately the shelves were stocked with just shelf warmers that no one wanted. Which is why we got these headlines last year of Funko throwing out millions of dollars of items, which had everyone in the Funko collecting community in shambles. Everyone was worried, everyone was panic selling their Funko Pops, they thought it was over for Funko, but all that really was just Funko fixing their mistakes they made in the past. They overproduced on stupid items that no one was really buying, and them dumping it into the trash was their form of just getting rid of it and accepting the loss. Now we haven't really gotten a title of Funko is destroying thousands of Pops and millions of dollars of items in a while, but the modern day equivalent to that is just the fact that all these exclusive Pops and rare Funko Pops are showing up at discount stores like Five Below, which I don't think people are starting to understand that's their form of actually getting rid of Funko Pops they overproduced. Funko doesn't want to dump these items anymore. It looks bad on the press, and they also lose the revenue that they could have made from selling those items. So instead, they took it to discount stores and they're just selling them there now. People are seeing exclusive items they had spent a bunch of money and time to get in discount stores for like 50% less than what they paid for it. Obviously, these people are going to be upset, but this is simply Funko's way of getting rid of these overproduced items they once had instead of putting them in the dump for people to go online and start bashing them for. Which I know I said at the beginning of the video, I'm gonna be unbiased, but doesn't every company throw out millions of dollars of items every year? It's only a big thing because Funko did it, but it definitely was a wake-up call for Funko. The overproduction was definitely an issue that they needed to face. And leading into my next point, due to overproduction, there's a lack of innovation at Funko. Many Funko Pop collectors in recent years have said that Funko is becoming stagnant with innovative designs for their figures. Funko Pops need new molds with interesting ideas. We don't need chrome, we don't need flocked, we don't need scented, we don't need all these other different variants of Funko Pops that we get. Lazy molds and repurposed molds just aren't it anymore. We need to get new figures, new designs for these characters, and just overall better sculpts. Which I will be honest, in recent months we have been seeing this, but it looks like it's only for anime figures. Anime Funko Pops definitely get the most attention and love out of any of the franchises they have, which is reasonable because I believe anime does make up for a good amount of these sales that Funko makes. But if you're putting that much effort into anime anime, you should definitely be putting that much effort into all these other franchises that you work with as well. And one thing that Funko does extremely well, especially with the anime pops, is limited edition releases. By releasing limited edition figures, they create a sense of urgency and driving demand for Funko Pop collectors. Meaning that instead of having a higher supply than the demand, they have a higher demand than the supply. Obviously, you want to meet the demand because those are all potential buyers, but from a collecting standpoint, you also want to create some scarcity to make your figures seem more valuable. A great example, like I mentioned, would be anime pops that they've been releasing recently. Eustace Kid, Shanks wanted poster, Luffy wanted poster. All of these are extremely cool pops that were released exclusively to Comic-Con and extremely hard to obtain, which created a huge aftermarket for these figures and a lot of people talking about them and appreciating them a lot more. And also another point that kind of leads off of that one is that people will always be loyal to Funko. There will always be people who will be loyal to the brand of Funko and buy whatever they put out, which another thing that Funko will do is they'll release some figures for like a new line that they're releasing. They'll do it for like maybe 6 months to a year and then completely trash it, never talk about it again and forget it existed. And I mainly think this is because of the fact that they are publicly traded. They want to make investors happy by showing they have new products and new innovative ideas. So they release these different things and these new lines and everything, all this different stuff, just to make the investors happy and make it seem like they actually are doing stuff. But then like after 6 months, they completely forget about these random lines and they just never make them again. What happened to vinyls? What happened to these things? No, like literally no one talks about these anymore. There's no way these things were performing so horribly that they just stopped producing them after a while. No. They just want to put all their main priority into pop, which obviously does make sense from a business standpoint. And talking about price, the price of Funko Pops are actually pretty cheap when comparing them to other collectibles. That's why people who collect these higher end collectibles often look down on Funko Pop collecting, because Funko Pops are cheaply made, which I guess can be true to like other collectibles. But although a Funko Pop's price is as cheap as it is, that still might be too much for the everyday person. Funko's largest country consumer is the USA, and in recent years, the cost of living in the USA and in many parts of the world has gone up pretty significantly. People will obviously value the cost of living over collecting and other hobbies. When it comes to buying a super limited edition exclusive Shanks Wanted poster or this week's groceries, I think 99.9% of people will go for the groceries. People don't have money or time for Funko Pop collecting anymore, especially when there's other hobbies that people would rather spend their money and time on. And my last point for today's video is that Funko's success is fully intertwined with the people and companies they decide to work with. If they choose to work with companies that are lacking in popularity and in relevancy, then Funko will also fail. A great example would be some of the lines they've been releasing pretty recently. Like Ms. Marvel released last year, it was a great show. Did we need a whole wave of Funko Pops for this? No, obviously not. The show was pretty popular, but it definitely wasn't popular enough to get like 1,000 different versions of Ms. Marvel and a whole wave for the line. But some of these characters from the show, no one's gonna go out of their way to spend $15 to $20 on. Echo's a great example. Echo was a phenomenal show. People loved it, and there was only very few Funko Pops made for it. When you create 1 or 2 Funko Pops for a line, it creates a sense of urgency and people will want to go buy those Funko Pops and try to complete the line. But when you release a line of 6 or 7 and 5 of those characters are just random characters that no one really cares about, no one's gonna go out of their way to complete the line and no one's gonna go out of their way to even buy those figures. People like to be complete, people like to have a full set of something, and when you have a small set that doesn't cost a lot of money and that people actually are interested in, they're gonna go and buy those things. Now, since we're at the end of this video as well, I'd like to mention that I'm just a YouTuber that collects Funko Pops. I'm not a $1 million company. Funko is a very successful company. They've just been down in the past few years. I think they know what they're doing at the end of the day. They have hundreds of employees that work there that strive to make Funko better each day. What I said in today's video is just my thoughts on the matter. A little bit from each side, some good and some bad. You guys can take what I said in today's video and hopefully do something with it. Create your own opinion and let me know in the comments down below what you think on this matter. I would love to hear from you guys. I would love to create some conversations in the comments. Good or bad, I don't care. Let me know what your takes are in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and I'll catch you out next time. Peace.